The way our economic system works is that there are four main players. You have the consumers. Every single person is a consumer. Rich people, middle class people, poor people are consumers. Everybody has to eat. Everybody needs a place to live. Everybody needs clothes. So everybody is a consumer. Then you have businesses, people that go out and create the businesses. When you are a consumer and you buy something from Chipotle, you're giving money to the business of Chipotle. Now, when you give money to Chipotle, who does that benefit? Well, that benefits two people. First, it benefits the worker, because that means the person that's working behind the cash register gets the job, but it also benefits the investor, because now when Chipotle makes more money, the investors in the Chipotle company also make money, because now Chipotle can show that they're making bigger profits, and the bigger profits that Chipotle makes, the more valuable that investment is. So consumers go and spend money at businesses. When businesses make money, they have money to hire employees, that means hiring workers, and then businesses can show to their investors they're making more money, so investors make more money because now their investment becomes more valuable. Now, what you need to understand here is that our economic system is designed to benefit the financially educated. What does that mean? Well, that means this person right here, the person who created the business, and that means this person right here, the person that's investing their money in the business. The way that the system works for most people, though, is every single person, until you're extremely rich and wealthy, every single person is trying to generate an income as a worker. Even if you're starting a company, you're still a worker in the company. So now when you're getting paid with this income, what ends up happening to most people is they take all of their money and then they use it to become a consumer. You're spending this money to buy the extra guac, you're buying the BMWs, you're buying the nice stuff, but you have no wealth to actually show for it. This is what happens to the majority of people, is that they're a worker and a consumer. But our economic system is designed to benefit the financially educated, which is the business owner and the investor. So for the average person, you're the worker and you're the consumer, and you get no benefits from our economic system. But in order to benefit from the system, you got to stop spending all of your money as a consumer and you need to spend more money here as an investor, because not everybody should or wants to go out and start a business, and that's completely fine. But everybody needs to be a business owner, and you can do that by putting your money here into the investor circle. Now, the question is, how does our system benefit the financially educated? Well, let me show you a couple things. Number one is when we have inflation happen, and we know that inflation has been around, not just since the pandemic, but for decades prior to the pandemic, and we know that inflation is going to stay around. How do we know that? The Federal Reserve Bank even says so on their website, that they're aiming for 2% inflation. They want inflation, they don't want 0% inflation. What does inflation do in this chart? Well, inflation means ideally you're going to make a little bit more money as a worker, but what we've seen happen is that the prices of things have risen way faster than incomes. So maybe you make a little bit more money as a worker, but the real cost of inflation is that consumption becomes more expensive. When you go to buy groceries, it's more expensive. When you go to buy a home or rent a home, it becomes more expensive. When you buy a car, it's more expensive. So consumption becomes more expensive when you have inflation. So now, inflation makes consuming more expensive. Who does that hurt? Well, that hurts all consumers. And remember, everybody's a consumer. Rich people, middle class people, poor people, everybody's a consumer. Inflation hurts consumption. However, when you're spending more money at a business when inflation happens, that also means that more money is going to the hands of the investor. We know that a little bit more money is going into the worker's hands. Inflation has caused incomes to go up, but incomes have not grown fast enough to keep up with the rising cost of living, not to mention the fact that investors became disproportionately more wealthy because of inflation when it happens. So when you see inflation happen, more of the money goes here into the investor hands as opposed to here into the worker's hands. This economic system is benefiting the business owners and is benefiting the investors. You don't have to create a business, but you have to be an investor. And this is just scratching the surface. As an attorney who's not your attorney, what I can tell you is that our tax code is also designed to benefit certain people more than others. Guess what? If you're a worker, you're a W-2 employee, you get some of the lowest tax breaks and the highest tax rates. Versus when you're an investor, you get to qualify for lower tax rates and higher tax breaks. So now the question is, if our system is designed to benefit the business owner and the investor more than the worker, what do you need to do? Well, that means you got to stop just being a worker and a consumer, and you got to take your money as a worker and put it here into the investor circle, that we can use your money not just to make more money, but also to benefit from the way that this economic system works. Now, how do you actually take your money as a worker and put it here? Well, one of the simplest and most accessible ways to do this, not the easiest, but one of the most accessible ways to do this is by putting your money into the stock market. And this is where now I want to go into the more practical side of how do you invest your money in the stock market, because unfortunately, most people, the vast majority of people, are trying to find the next hot stock and they don't know how to invest their money in the stock market, but I'm going to show you a much easier way. The stock market gives you the ability to own a piece of your favorite company or companies or just our general economic system. And the reason why people get attracted and excited by the stock market is because they think, wow, a $1,000 investment in Amazon 25 years ago would be worth something like $366,000 today. Or a $1,000 investment in Amazon 20 years ago would be worth around $74,000 today. Or a $1,000 investment in Amazon just 10 years ago would be worth right around $8,000 today. And now you say, wow, if I would have just invested a little bit of money back then, I would be rich today. And this is where now a lot of people go out to try to find the next Amazon or the next hot stock, but this is where now you are taking on all the risk. In the late 1990s, do you know who the Wall Street Journal said was the innovative company, that all their competitors were going bankrupt, but this golden poster child was the company to aspire to become? Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, this was Sears. Let me read you an excerpt. Sears was thriving while its competitors were going bankrupt because Sears responded to the changing market by identifying the customer group that would be critical to its future, and then Sears launched a $4 billion renovation project to make sure its stores were more inviting towards women, their ideal target audience. And even if you take a look at the Sears stock price from 2008 to 2010, you'll see that the Sears stock more than tripled. But then not too long later, Sears couldn't keep up with the changing economy and their company went bankrupt, which meant all the money put into Sears was now worth nothing. This is where the question then becomes, how do you know if you're buying the next Amazon or the next Sears? And the real answer is you don't. 98% of investors have no idea what they're investing in. And what you have to remember is every single company has a lifespan. Even Amazon has a lifespan. And this is where you have to understand, if you want to invest in individual companies, you're taking on all the risk. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.